This is my home observatory. When I unlatch the roof from the inside, the roof will roll off onto the support structure that you see on the right there. This gives my telescopes and my astronomical CCD cameras access to the night sky so that I can take photos like these. Over the years, my photos have appeared in books and magazines. They've been used by corporations for advertising in various newsprint and turned into posters such as this. Some of my photos have even won national and international competitions, such as this photo of the double cluster. In my observatory, I made the instructional DVDs that you see here. They sold in telescope stores across the nation and around the world on the internet. Back in 2008, a reporter came to my observatory to do a story on me that ran in a Sunday edition of our local newspaper. The story was picked up by the Newswire and ran not only in newspapers across the state that I live in, but indeed newspapers across the nation. I took some of these newspapers to show my mother. She was so proud. She said it was the first time anybody in our family had ever been in the newspaper and handcuffs hadn't been involved.
Hey guys, Matt, Nomadic Native back with you. Thanks for tuning in. So in this video I'm going to talk about our camera gear. And that's kind of a little story because as you might could tell from the intro, if you want a picture of something in the night sky, well, maybe I'm your man. But if you want a picture of, anything else, terrestrial, regular photos, what you're going to get out of me until about a month ago was automatic mode happy snaps out of this camera right here that I've had since it came out new. This is a Sony CyberShot FT707, I think it is. I've taken it all over the world. It is a, it does have different modes. It's got manual mode and aperture priority and all that. I've never used any of that. I've always just had it in automatic mode. This camera, the photos that it takes are 5 megapixels in size, so that kind of tells you how old this camera is. You may have noticed over the last couple of months there's been a kind of a buying frenzy of new cameras that we've been putting together, and that's because we're about to go on the adventure of our lifetime, I guess. So we want to be able to get good recordings, good photos, share those with you, and have them for later in life for our grandkids and so on. So had this camera for a long time. It's worked out great for me, but it's time to move on. So all right, so back when GoPros became really popular, there was another camera, similar camera, that also came out called the Ion Camo Cam. I'm a hunter, always have been, and this little camera came out camouflage color, and it had mounts so that I could mount it to any of my rifles or my bow, and I went ahead and bought it. It shoots in 1080p, and it's real simple to use. It's an on and off kind of thing. It has terrible audio, very wide field, you can't zoom in or anything like that, but and no way to see what you're recording at the time. You just kind of point it, and it's got such a wide field that you pretty much capture anything in front of it. So some of our earlier videos, if you go back and you see the videos that were shot in Montana on the Kootenai River, the Ross Cedars, all of that was shot with this camera. Okay, so this is our first wide field ability. This camera gives us the ability to shoot wide field when we're out hiking and so forth like that. But if you go back and watch those videos, what you'll notice is when we're out hiking is a lot of movement in the video. And for our future videos, and for the ones that we're going to share with you guys, we really didn't want that. So when we go out hiking or mountain biking or whatever we're going to do, what we want to be able to do is produce decent video to share with you here on YouTube and to have for later on in life, like I said, for our grandkids or whatever. So this just came in. I went ahead and got a GoPro Hero 4 Silver. It's the one with the LCD back on it, so you can see what you're shooting, I guess. And I really never realized just how extensive these little cameras are. They got a lot of different video modes, produce really high quality stuff. I never knew any of that. Never needed any of that. So why would I why would I look into it? So that's the GoPro Hero Silver, and this gimbal that I bought for it is the Evo GP Pro. I just turned it on into standby mode. The motors aren't on yet. You can see, they just move around. But you hold down the joystick and back for 2 seconds, and the motors kick in. So now I'm in pan and follow mode, and the camera slows down and stays on the horizon, and I can use the joystick in the back to pan up, pan up or down, and wherever I leave it, that's where it points, that's where it stays. So I'll put it back straight. If I click the button one time, let's say I point the camera straight at you. If I click the button one time, now it's in heading lock mode, and no matter how I turn my hand, the camera stays directly on you. Okay? So and then click it one more time and it's back to, pan and follow mode. So what I'm hoping this will do for us is it'll allow us to produce nice, smooth, decent quality, wide field video, and not make everybody sick just for, coming to our channel and watching our videos, okay? So this is what we decided to get, and I think it's going to work out great. Plan on shooting a lot of video with this when we go to the Winnebago factory in July. So I'll turn it back off here. Okay, so these two cameras are wide field, and now we've got steady video. The camera that I'm shooting this video on is a Canon Vixia R600. It's a relatively cheap camcorder, and I've got an external mic on it, and I also have a high definition wide field lens attached to it. So this gives us the ability to shoot some pretty good video. If you remember a video I did not long ago when we were boondocking, it opened up with a black and white time lapse that was shot with this Canon R600 that I'm using now. Okay, so now you know that my DSLR experience in the past, until about a month ago, was shot with, everything was with this camera, shot in automatic mode, and that's all I know about taking pictures, okay? Regular terrestrial pictures. Now, at one point, years and years ago, I did actually buy a Canon DSLR when they first came out with the Canon Digital Rebel. Okay, that's this camera right here. It was delivered by UPS, and about an hour and a half later, I had it torn completely apart down to the component, spread out all over my dining room table, so that I could get to the sensor, the CMOS sensor that in here. Because what they do with these cameras when they make them is, if they don't put a filter, an IR blocking filter in front of that sensor, the sensor produces too much red. It makes people look red, okay? Well, when you want to use one of these cameras for astrophotography, that sensor is a hindrance, or not the sensor, that filter, the IR blocking filter, is a big hindrance. So within an hour and a half of me buying this brand new, what back then was kind of an expensive camera, I had completely voided the warranty, torn it completely apart, removed the sensor, put it all back together, and then I, install this TelView 0.8 times reducer flattener on the camera, and now I can stick it into one of my telescopes and I can use this to take photos. I took several with it. What I found was it's not nearly as sensitive as my purpose-built astrophotography cameras, and it has no cooling. You see, my astrophotography cameras can be cooled to 15 below zero, and that prevents a lot of the noise in the image, because I'm taking very long exposures when I'm doing astrophotography. Some of my exposures are up to 30 minutes long. So cooling the camera real cold while it's taking the exposure reduces a lot of the noise that's built up over time on the sensor. So here you have, in these two cameras, the sum total of my DSLR regular photo taking experience. And, well, that wasn't regular photos, but you know what I'm saying. This was my experience until about a month ago with DSLR cameras and taking regular point and shoot type photos. Automatic mode, I can tear them apart and put them back together, take stuff out, that kind of thing. Okay, so for this adventure of our lifetime, I decided it was time to actually buy a DSLR camera and learn how to use the thing. And I have a lot of interest in wildlife. Like I said, I've been a hunter my entire life. So when we're going and traveling and stuff, I realize that I'm, not going to be able to hunt like I do when I'm here at home in my home state, that kind of thing. I plan to do some, but not like I do here, the amount. But if I have the right camera and the right lens, then I can hunt with that. Okay, so that was my thinking, one part of my thinking on getting this new camera set up. The other part was to be able to shoot, DSLRs can shoot great video these days. And like I said, I wanted to learn how to take good photos in manual mode and all that. If you saw one of my more recent videos where I did the air show, the video of the air show was that big wide video was shot with this camera, then it was mounted to the lens on my new Canon camera. I'll show you that setup here in a minute. And the photos that were being flashed in on the screen of the airplanes was shot with the new camera. So let me get that together here on the table, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is big. I realize it's big, and I'm going to have to do some camera jockeying to get it in for you here. So I hope the AC is not disturbed, messing with the audio too much. But anyway, this is the camera that I decided to go with. I suppose I could have bought one of the higher end Canon cameras, but I'm just learning how to do this manual mode stuff and learn how to take good pictures. So I bought a Canon T6s. It's got this flip out screen. There's lots of videos here on YouTube that'll tell you all about the Canon T6s. For the glass, like I said, I have some interest in doing some wildlife photography, and for that you need a pretty good amount of focal length, so that because the animals, they don't like you being right up on them, I guess, taking pictures. So the lens that I bought here, I'll take this, I'll leave this on, this isn't part of the lens, but the lens that I bought here is the Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter zoom, and this is the contemporary version of the lens. It's autofocus, it's got image stabilization, a couple of different modes. It's got a USB dock that you can program custom modes into it. It's got a lock on it, and it zooms out to 600 millimeters. When I was shooting the air show, most of the airplane photos were shot, you know, way out here at between 400 and 600 millimeters, and I had the little Ion camo cam mounted up here on this mount, up here on the lens hood. So it was up here like this, and so all the video of the airplanes flying around in the sky was shot with the little camo cam, and then at the same time I was taking pictures with this setup, and those were the pictures that you saw flashed into the video. What this is setting on is a Manfrotto fluid photo video head. Yeah, I think that's the 520A, I think it's called. And this is a Manfrotto tripod. This is the 055 model. And I got one more thing to show you. So anyway, this is our photo. This does video. I've got microphone for it. So that's what that looks like. Sorry I'm bouncing you around like this. I want to use this camera because it shoots better video than that Ion camo cam, so I'm having to do this to get it all in for you, okay? But anyway, the way I was shooting the videos is I took the handle off, I loosened up both the tilt and the pan as loose as it would go, and that gave me, now the lock on this is over here, and that gave me complete access to that sky so that I could video the airplanes and take pictures of them all at the same time. Okay, I'll lock this back into place. Lock this side over here. Okay, I'm gonna set you down for a minute, and I got one more thing to show you, and we'll be done. Well, actually, I've got two more things to show you. The first is if you go on Amazon and you look up GoPro accessory kit, you run across one of these. This is a 50-in-1 50-piece GoPro accessory kit, and it's cheap. It was like I don't know, 20 bucks maybe, something like that. And you know, it comes with all different kind of ways to mount and use a GoPro camera. I bought 2 extra batteries for the GoPro, and charger, of course. But one thing about this Evo, if you look right here on the bottom, you can see that it's got this little wire here. It goes over and attaches to this motor, and it also plugs into the GoPro camera on this side. What that does is the batteries that power the gimbal also charge the GoPro when the GoPro battery starts to run low. So that keeps you shooting, you know what I mean? But still, I went ahead and bought a couple of extra batteries for the GoPro and an extra charger. You know, well, it came with the charger, but so I got that taken care of. So the accessory, that's number 1, accessory pack, and this is number 2. When I go out into the woods hiking, trying to take pictures, that tripod is pretty heavy. So I got, and it's hard to show this to you because I can't get back far enough, you know what I'm saying? But this is a monopod. It's made by, I don't know how to say the name, but it came with this case, and the name of the company is spelt S-I-R-U-I, Sirui, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but they make one heck of a good monopod. Check this out. It's got these feet on the bottom, right? And these are metal. They click into place. So that gives you some great stability. On top of the monopod, it's got a removable top on it, and you can flip this over so you have 3/8 or 1/4 by 20 threads, and I can put the Manfrotto fluid head right on top of this and mount the camera on the fluid head. Okay. Down here at the bottom of this monopod, you've got this piece that screws up, and it's cone shaped down here at the bottom. I hope you can see that. It's cone shaped down here. And then over here, you've got a thumb screw that you can, it's got a ball and socket down in here in this black portion, and that allows the monopod to move this way. And if you tighten this up a little bit, it's like adding drag. So, you know, it'll stay, but you can still move it. And if you start turning this back down into this receiver, because it's cone shaped, the more you turn it down in there, the more it limits the movement, the side to side or circular movement. You see, as I turn it down in there, the less I can move it around. Turn it all the way down and tighten that back up, and you're all set, right? Okay, now here's something really neat. This blue portion, this blue knob right here, if you undo that and unscrew it, this portion comes off. All right? It comes with another one of these mounting bases and another thread, you know, 1/4 by 20 on one side, 3/8 on the other. Drop it down in there, screw this on, and now you have a mini tripod that you can sit on a table, get low shots, whatever you want to do. And this still works. You roll this up, loosen this, and you still got all this movement, right? And you can lock it into place. See, locked in, now it won't move at all. And at the same time that you have this new little high top, what do they call them, a hi-hat or a high top or something like that, little tripod, you still have this regular monopod, okay? And they give you these 2 feet. One's a rubber foot and one's a metal foot for when you're on, you know, dirt or whatever. And you just stick that on the bottom and it screws right back into that blue piece. Tightens up, and now you've got a regular monopod without the, you know, tripod foot base. And this, of course, it has 3 sections that extend out, you know, just like any other monopod. Now it's got one more little trick up its sleeve, okay? And that's on this blue one up here. If you loosen this one, oops, if you loosen this one, and I'm going to hold this below it steady. Now you've got a pretty fluid feeling pan motion built right into the monopod. So if you have this on its base, you've got all of this movement, you've got this movement, or you simply lock it in, put your own fluid head up here on the base, and now you've got a really stable, you know, take this off. Take the spike off. Put it all back together. And you know, I don't know what else to say about it, guys. This is really great. So when I go traipsing off through the woods, on the trails, or wherever I'm going, and I want to carry that big camera and all that, this is going to be a much better option than carrying the much heavier tripod, Manfrotto tripod. So that's why I got this. And so that's pretty much it. That's oh, the T6s Canon camera came with this lens. It's a 13 to 135 millimeter zoom lens. It's got STM motors in it. It's great for shooting DSLR video, I guess, because the STM motors, you can't hear them when they're autofocusing. You can't hear them in the video. Great lens, I guess. It seems to be fine to me. Of course, you know, take it for what it's worth. This is my DSLR experience, okay? So that's what I've been doing. I've been watching a lot of videos, trying to learn how to shoot in manual mode. I've been out practicing a lot. If you follow us on the at Nomadic Native on Facebook, then you've probably seen some of the other photos that I've taken recently with that setup and have uploaded them. I've taken some bird photos, and I think I took a squirrel photo and some turtle photos. Just out practicing with it, trying to learn how to shoot in manual mode so that I can take great photos to show you guys, right? So I guess this video is kind of running long, guys. I'll go ahead and get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed and you'd like to follow along, we invite you to subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I promise I'll get to you just as soon as I can. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate it. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.